Thank you again for taking the time. This is actually our second meeting. Well, we've had several meetings on Prop 123 over the last couple of months, but this is our second workshop. The first one, hopefully you were able to join, was on March 15th, and that was dedicated to the base local government baseline setting and commitment pieces of Proposition 123. This one is specific to just the Division of Housing programs, 3 programs outlined in Proposition 123 for the Division of Housing to implement. And so if you are here for the OEDIT/CHAFA programs, good news, there's a meeting scheduled for that. It's just not today. That one is scheduled for April 4th. I will provide additional information about, or a reminder about that at the end of this presentation. But just keep that in mind that the focus of this presentation is on the Division of Housing funding programs as articulated in Proposition 123. We have a tight agenda that just got tighter. If we can't get through everything by 4 o'clock, perhaps we can go for an additional 15 minutes, but I definitely don't want to go beyond that. We definitely want to go through as much of this as planned, so you guys take away some great information to noodle on and come back with some great feedback. As I mentioned earlier, we had to change things around. Apologies for the mix-up on the front end with sending out 2 different links, but we learned that the first Zoom feature that we were utilizing was not going to accommodate all our needs. The big piece being the breakout sessions that we had planned later this afternoon. And also just we got feedback from other Zoom webinar meetings that the interaction wasn't as friendly. So we're learning as we go, if you will, with regard to utilizing Zoom for this functionality. For those that don't know, the state itself is on Google. So we spend most of our time on the Google platform and Google Meet. We're living and learning with Zoom here. Some pros and cons to it. I will be keeping a timer going, which I forgot to start for this part. And I want to make sure that we're cognizant of time, as I mentioned earlier. As you can see the agenda, we've got a lot planned. The overview is what we're going through right now. This is the agenda. And then we've got the programs in that order, as you see in the times. We're 15 minutes behind right now, but that's what we're shooting for. And then, of course, the breakouts, as I mentioned. Just a reminder about the breakouts, and I'll remind you guys again later. It's 3 breakout sessions at the same time for 15 minutes, right? Homeownership, homelessness, and local planning capacity. You will have control over which breakout rooms you want to be involved in. You will have an opportunity to do all 3 because we will rinse and repeat for a 2nd round and a 3rd round, okay? If you want to stay in one breakout the whole time, up to you. But you can have an option to visit all 3 for 45 minutes, if that is what you would prefer. And of course, if we have time, we'll do a report out. If we don't have time, we'll just talk about next steps in the final slide. Allison, the floor is yours.
Thank you, Mo. Hello, everyone. My name is Allison George. I am the director for the Division of Housing in DOLA, and you just heard from Mo Miskell, the deputy director at the Division of Housing. And so we're so excited to be talking to you today about the programs. Do apologize for the technical difficulties, but I do think that this format is going to help inform how we reschedule another opportunity for everyone to chat. Because we want to ensure that everyone has an opportunity to have a voice in this process and to offer their input as we're working to roll out Proposition 123 with our other state partners. So the Division of Housing, we've been around since 1970, and we're focused on creating housing opportunities for Coloradans who face the greatest challenges to accessing affordable, safe, and secure homes. And this is becoming more and more challenging as we are facing such tight housing markets. Can we go to the next slide, please? So with the Division of Housing, we do a lot of different things, all the way from homeless prevention programs through down payment assistance programs. Proposition 123 is very specific, though, on what authorities the Division of Housing has. And so we are focused on home ownership and homelessness specifically. And our partners with OEDIT and CHAFA will be focusing on the other aspects of our affordable housing needs. And so in their webinar, they will go more specifically in that. So today we were hoping to focus on our two areas, homeownership and homelessness, so that we can talk through what existing programs the Division of Housing has. We're really excited about how Proposition 123 can support, expand, and grow these existing programs that we have in this first year, because the availability of funds for the first year is just half of what the future funding sources will look like through Proposition 123. And so with the limited resources that we have in this first year, we're looking at growing and supporting our existing programs that we have. So please, as you hear and you think through what programming we have, think through how you can be a part of that in our local communities. Next slide.
Thank you, Allison. I think this one is me, and thanks for introducing me. I was in my rush to get started. I forgot to introduce myself.
It's all good. Thank you all.
Yes, thank you for teeing this up, Allison. Appreciate it. Some of you are probably very familiar with this, but just a reminder, especially this is new to anybody that's joining us. As we mentioned, there's going to be a separate conversation with OEDIT and CHAFA about their three programs and the 60% of the Prop 123 funds they are getting for those three programs. A reminder that we're talking about our three programs, two of which are going to be implemented by Division Housing and one, the Division of Local Government, our sister agency. And as you can see on this slide, this specifically addresses the funding that we anticipate receiving just for the Division of Housing side of things. I'm sure people have heard an estimated $300 million from Prop 123 funds for these six programs, but our piece is 40%. And of course, in year one, we're looking at a truncated year, half a fiscal year, estimated 58 million. And of course, doubling that when we have our full year next fiscal year. And we'll be going through the three programs here. We've got different presenters for you. We're very excited about that you'll be meeting here shortly. Andrew Paredes from our Office of Housing Finance and Sustainability, Kristen Toombs from our Office of Homeless Initiatives, and then Melissa Nearson from our Office of Housing Recovery are your primary presenters from Division of Housing. And then you will have, I believe, Andy from Division of Local Government talking through the that piece, the Local Planning Capacity Development Program. And that's Andy Hill. Should have mentioned her last name. All of this is built on what we talked about on March 15th. So if you missed that meeting, we'll put in the chat here, and it's also at the end of the presentation, the link to our interactive website, and there's a recording of that March 15th meeting, which gives you an understanding of the foundation on which all these programs are built on, which is the local government establishing a baseline, and of course, making a commitment to grow that baseline by 3% each year for a 3-year cycle, so 9% total. Connor and I, and Ben Madelon and Diane, have been spending a lot of time on the baseline commitment piece of this, as well as others. And this is just a outline that we put together way back in preparation for the, I think it was January 9th meeting that Gary Community was kind enough to host about Prop 123. And this is what we're sticking to. Of course, it will modify, just so you get an idea of timing of everything, right? We, of course, this is not the only thing we're working on. Keep that in mind as well. It's very important. But we're also working on implementing and getting money out from a variety of bills from last legislative session in the tunes of hundreds of millions of dollars as well to apply towards affordable housing, homelessness, et cetera, which is also very exciting and important work. So just keep in mind, we're balancing these things. And of course, as you can see, we are very much still in the workshop facilitation as well as process design. Over the next few weeks, you should be getting more communications about process design, what that looks like. We've already got a few jurisdictions that have signed up as guinea pigs, if you will, to help us work through that and beta test our baseline setting in the commitment establishment process. So more to follow. We're really excited about the local governments. They're really chomping at the bit to really get started, and looking forward to working with them and making sure that we can fine tune the process for other local governments as they start to feel more comfortable. And of course, we're speaking to everybody over and over again about these requirements. Prop 123, just a quick reminder, is very prescriptive, right? There's 21 pages of incredible detail on all the requirements for everybody. And we're trying to make sure that everybody kind of understands those requirements and plan for the future on how to work with it, with those requirements. With that being said, Andrew, are you available to talk about the home ownership program?
Thanks, Mo. Good afternoon to everybody. I'm Andrew Paredes.
All right, folks. It looks like we have gotten folks up.
Sorry, what was that, Zach? Oh, sorry about that, Andrew.
No problem.
I opened it up, Mo, so there's more people getting on.
Okay, that's great.
Hello again. I'm Andrew Paredes. I am the director of our Office of Housing Finance and Sustainability here at the Division of Housing. And as you know or have seen, part of the Proposition 123 resource is earmarked for homeownership programs. 50% of the Division of Housing portion of Proposition 123 will be available to support homeownership, primarily for, in the form of down payment assistance for first-time home buyers, grants and loans to nonprofits and land trusts for the creation of affordable housing ownership opportunities, and funds to help mobile homeowners acquire parks that they live in. We are happy and lucky at the Division of Housing to already have mature programs in existence that serve these purposes. So unlike previous years, we won't need to go straight to the drawing board and create a new program in order to effectively begin to roll out these resources. Currently, the Division of Housing operates programs that provide down payment assistance to prospective home buyers, programs for existing homeowners to repair and upkeep their houses in order to stay in their homes, as well as traditional kind of grant and loan funding for the development or acquisition of housing that will then be sold to prospective homeowners at an affordable rate or price. Next slide, please. So the programs that we have, we currently have a down payment assistance programs. I think we can go to the next slide, as I've already covered this one. Oh, yeah, that does indeed deal with our down payment assistance programs. We currently have down payment assistance programs that we have contracted across the state, I think with a handful, 8 to 10 agencies that are rolling these funds out in their respective communities. These funds are available to low to moderate income home buyers to allow them to apply towards a down payment of a new home. These programs are primarily fueled by state housing resources, as well as federal home and CDBG housing resources. Each of those kind of comes with a slightly different qualification criteria, but we're happy to say that all of the current programs will fit under the proposed proposition or the existing Proposition 123 rules and statute. So again, it will be, we anticipate it being a very doable transition to use Proposition 123 resources to bolster these current down payment assistance programs. Next slide, please. As I mentioned, we also have what we call our single family owner occupied rehab programs. These programs are similar in nature to down payment assistance, as they are small grants, loans, or forgivable loans that enable homeowners to maintain their affordable housing homeownership opportunity. So at a very broad stroke, think kind of funds that allow folks perhaps to stay in their homes or age in place. if there are health and safety issues with a home, this program allows homeowners to access funds to make those improvements to their house, again, with an eye towards keeping people in their existing affordable homeownership situation. Next slide, please. Current DOH programs for the development of homeownership opportunities. We currently, through what we call our gap funding programs, but kind of our traditional bread and butter division of housing, housing development programs, offer funding subsidy in the form of grants, low interest loans, or cash flow loans to serve as kind of that last mile of funding to allow the development, be that construction or acquisition of affordable homeownership opportunities. So that spans the gamut from groups who might be out there, like a land trust, let's say, who might be out there strategically acquiring individual home sites to then resell to affordable homeowners. That's certainly the type of program we currently support, as well as providing financial support to nonprofits, land trusts, examples, Habitat for Humanity or the Rural Homes Initiative down in Southwest Colorado, for the development, the construction of homeownership opportunities that are then resold to low to moderate income prospective home buyers. Next slide, please. So this is just a snapshot of our existing programs. You can see here that for both the owner-occupied rehab and our down payment assistance, our average award or loan to a prospective or existing home buyer is approximately $24,000-$25,000. And you can kind of see the magnitude of the annual number of loans that our programs support, as well as the AMIs or the affordability levels that they support. And again, one nice thing is our current programs all fit within the new Proposition 123 framework in terms of affordability. Next slide, please. So what we're excited about looking forward as we look at what's written into Proposition 123, it can allow us in our existing programs perhaps to expand the affordability levels that it serves, to be able to go a little bit higher up the income scale, to maybe open up homeownership opportunities and down payment assistance to more people. It also will allow us to make grants and loans for the development of these homeownership projects to assist a little bit higher in the AMI scale, as well as to really have a dedicated product to assist mobile homeowners in purchasing the park in which they reside. So this is really what we're looking forward to talking to you all about in the breakout rooms, is how can we take what we currently do, add on the new ability that Prop 123 gives us, and begin to start that conversation as to what perhaps new programs or tweaks and additions to our existing programs should look like. So I very much look forward to the breakout rooms and further conversation about this.
Great, thank you so much, Andrew. And thank you for catching us up quite as significantly. That was very helpful. Kristen Toombs, are you available to start talking through homelessness?
I am.
Prevention of this. Yes, we can hear you.
Okay, great. Good afternoon, everybody. Kristen Toombs. I'm the director of the Office of Homeless Initiatives at the Department of Local Affairs Division of Housing. Great to be here with you all. Just as an overview and or a reminder, up to 45% of the funds that are transferred to Division of Housing will go towards homelessness response and homelessness prevention. We are estimating that will be 26.1 million in year one and 52.2 million in year two. Again, those are estimates, but that gives you a sense for the scale in which we're talking. Per the language in the bill, Prop 123, eligible activities related to homelessness include this list here: rental assistance, eviction defense, grants or loans to develop supportive housing, and other homelessness related activities contributing to the resolution of homelessness as determined by the Division of Housing. So that's an important note there of that additional category. So existing programs that we have at the Division of Housing that we believe are eligible and fit nicely with Prop 123 are the following list here. So we have eviction and homelessness prevention. Melissa Nierensen is going to go into more of that on the largest program we've had around prevention shortly, but we have other programs as well that cover that too. And then again, because of that focus on contributing to resolutions and best practices, housing-focused street outreach, housing-focused low barrier shelter, housing-focused transitional housing. So really that, how do we help resolve the homelessness? What are those program models that help with ending that homelessness by securing housing? Other models include bridge housing, which is that temporary housing while your permanent housing is being identified, secured, or built, rapid rehousing, supportive housing, and then other coordination around helping connect people to assistance and technical assistance to provide to local communities or organizations so that they can implement these best practices and know who is experiencing homelessness and connect with them. It's important to note that these are funded, our current programs are funded with various federal and state funds, depending on what that funding source is. Of those models that I just shared with you, we can pay for certain things within each of those models, certain activities. That includes rental assistance or housing vouchers, supportive services, operating or development costs. So many of you, that we would look at as, again, we have models in place, programs in place for how we can help fund those activities within these various program models. Next slide, please. All right, so this is a little bit more in regards to that list of current current programs that the Division of Housing has. So with supportive housing, what is supportive housing? Really high level, that is non-time limited rental assistance plus services to help someone safely stay housed. We do that. We support the development and the operation of supportive housing in three main ways: through rental assistance. So that's vouchers, both project-based, tenant-based, and we have various funding for that. And then the services. An example of that effort is our statewide supportive housing expansion, or SWISHY, best acronym, where we're partnering with other state agencies to work with our housing and homeless providers to have other funding sources such as Medicaid assist with paying for those services. We also pay for other services, as many of you know. And then of course, development grants and loans to develop those housing opportunities. There is a focus and a priority around supportive housing because it is really effective. 92%, 85%, we over and over again see the effectiveness of supportive housing helping those with complex needs and long lengths of homelessness that but for this intervention, they would not be exiting homelessness and maintaining that housing stability. Other best practices that we support include rapid rehousing, which is similar to supportive housing, but it's shorter term assistance. And that the household will then stay in that unit while the services peel off. Some of those include Colorado Rapid Rehousing for Reentry. And I apologize, there are a lot of acronyms on this slide. That's because we just couldn't fit it all on here without those acronyms. More than happy to talk through with anybody, any of these programs in further detail. This is just real high level to give you a sense for the full continuum that we have. So core 3 or core is Colorado Rapid Rehousing for Reentry, where we partner with jails and prisons. Next step 2 Gen, we partner with schools and identify homeless students or at risk of. ESG stands for Emergency Solutions Grants, which covers a full continuum. That's why you see it listed several times here. And then we also have some youth specific rapid rehousing for young adults 18 years into their early 20s. You will hear again that Melissa is going to talk with us more about some of our eviction and homelessness prevention, housing navigation, counseling, diversion. We also have several other programs, as you can see listed here. We do have some funding for street outreach and shelter. And then we've been increasing our supportive residential communities or navigation campuses with the intent of intentionally co-locating various resources, services, treatment, housing options for people experiencing homelessness. We're excited about youth host homes, which helps particularly in rural communities with youth without housing to live with other neighbors or friends. And we support that safe housing option until they secure permanent housing. And we know that these all take, they have a lot of nuance to them, especially as we really focus on implementing best practices and outcomes. And so not only do we fund these efforts, but we also help provide technical assistance and funding towards collaboration, trainings, capacity building, and other capacity building connection to resources so that our partners can implement these programs to the best of their ability. I'm going quickly through that. That's really high level. Now, as I highlighted on the first slide, when I first started talking, that Prop 123 also mentions it, in addition to very specifically calling out things like prevention and supportive housing, it also calls out other efforts, other activities or models that can resolve homelessness as identified by Division of Housing. That's why I highlight this page to tell you how will Division of Housing determine that. If anybody is familiar with any of our recent requests for applications, notice of funding availabilities, any of our publications, or is a current grantee or partner of ours, this will look familiar to you. If you're new to this, I highly recommend that you read our Making Homelessness in History in Colorado playbook. It's only 5 pages. It's intentionally short so that it's digestible and that anyone with, depending on your level of familiarity around homelessness, it's a starting point for you. OHI program model comparisons, dig into some of those lists that I just shared with you. What's the difference between bridge housing, transitional housing, shelter? How do we think about this? Who is it for? What should we expect in outcomes? What are we looking for? Not just at Division of Housing, but for you all, if you want to have the intended impact, that it's really a digestible way for you to learn about those different models so you can make decisions about what is needed in your community and utilize that when you look to come to funding, to request funding from the Division of Housing, whether that's Prop 123 or other opportunities that we have. And finally, I'll just highlight that in the Making Homelessness History in Colorado, and as we frame, as we describe the different program models, it's important that we frame it with what are the proven solutions based on data, based on outcomes, and what are the key components that no matter what model you're using, that you always keep in mind. These have been shown to be the most effective way to resolve homelessness for people in your communities, regardless of what the community is. So you still can create those nuances and that uniqueness based on population and community. But we see that when you utilize these solutions and these components within those, that you will have success. And therefore, we will look for those whenever anyone is seeking resources from us, and look forward to hearing from you in the outbreak sessions about what questions you might have or how you do implement these or what challenges you have to implementing either these models or the components within them. And with that, I will turn it over to Melissa.
Great job, Kristen. Thank you so much. Especially thank you for the reminder that the depth and breadth of homelessness, and it's not just homelessness prevention. I really appreciate you providing a high-level summary of a lot in a few minutes, and thank you for catching us up as well. Melissa, are you available to talk us through emergency rental assistance?
Hi, Mo, I'm here. Hi, everyone. My name is Melissa Nearson. I am the manager for the Office of Housing Recovery here at the Division of Housing, DOLA. And we are going to talk today about rental assistance. So while I don't have the variety of the programs in the Office of Housing Recovery that Kristen or Andrew do, what we have is a really important piece of this prevention work that we do think will likely be a program that there's interest in the long-term Prop 123 environment. And that is the Emergency Rental Assistance Program. So the Office of Housing Recovery has managed for the last 2 years, 2 main pandemic relief programs. The first one, the Emergency Rental Assistance Program, it's meant for eviction prevention. While it's named the Emergency Rental Assistance Program, it actually provides a lot more than just rental assistance. So through this program, we've proven that pairing legal aid with rental assistance, as well as some sort of case navigation, has really been a successful way to stabilize households. So the legal assistance can be both legal assistance, tenant landlord mediation, And then another focus of ours has really been rehousing and making sure that folks are stabilized in the household that they live in. This was authorized by the United States Treasury. The state has received $480 million approximately and been able to assist over 40,000 households. At this point, we are nearing the end of this program. We are in the wind down phase. So we are excited for Prop 123 to have been passed and to be coming online to hopefully continue some of these great things that we're doing here. The other program is the Emergency Mortgage Assistance Program. So I do not foresee this being a program that is immediately funded through Proposition 123, just because we do have a substantial amount of funding that remains in this, but did want to share with folks just to look at this. It's a foreclosure prevention program that was also authorized by United States Treasury. We've received 175 million. And of that, we've only spent about 24 million. So we do have a substantial amount, and we are kicking off, or we did kick off our full program starting January 1st. We have assisted over 2,000 households and continue to accept new applications. And this funding is expected through 2024. So well into the future of Prop 123, which is why we likely don't think that we'll see any requests for this program. Next slide. So what we are anticipating is that there's going to be some requests for rental assistance. We do not think that in the long-term program that the rental assistance program will be as long-term as the emergency rental assistance program was. We do think that the qualifications will likely be a lot more limited to a one-time use, likely a significant life impact. We do think that it would be great to continue to look at offering that landlord-tenant mediation, as well as eviction representation for folks experiencing an eviction. And then also want to maintain that we continue to help folks with household sustainability, if that means rehousing them into a more sustainable home so that they could afford it long-term. And I will be joining Kristen in the homelessness prevention breakout room. So folks who have any questions in this, want to get more in the weeds of this very high-level overview, we are happy to do so.
Great, thank you so much, Melissa. And folks, we are ahead of the schedule now, even with the terrible start. I padded the times in case our presenters were long-winded. None of them were. And of course, in case we had any technical issues at the outset, which unfortunately we did experience. But we are now ahead of schedule, which is fantastic. Andy, the floor is yours to talk us through the local planning capacity development program and the great work that DOG will be performing to assist us with that.
Thank you, Mo. So you're saying I can't be long-winded. That's great.
You can knock it out.
I'm Andy Hill. I manage the Community Development Office. And actually, because I can be long-winded, instead I'll pass it to my colleague, Robin DeFalco, who will cover this. Go ahead, Robin.
Thanks, Andy. So the local planning capacity development program is funded by 5% of the funds that are coming to DOLA. So that's about 2.9 million in year one and 5.8 million in year two. These are grants that our office will be issuing to local governments to help increase capacity for your planning departments that are responsible for processing land use, permitting, and zoning applications for housing projects. So some of these grants could be used to address the fast track requirements in Prop 123 and other streamlining development processes, such as expedited development review. Could be used for land use code amendments that effectively streamline development review. Could hire additional staff or contractors to assist with reviewing affordable housing applications to achieve that expedited timeline. And once your first commitment has been accepted, it could help you develop your future commitments for future cycles. So our office is working now to get ready to support communities, and we'll talk more in the breakout sessions. We're really eager to get your feedback on what type of technical assistance your communities need, both with establishing your baselines and your commitments, and then what kind of assistance you need being able to achieve the fast track review process. So we're looking to do a lot of outreach and engagement in the coming months, and work with planners and developers, and
really to hear from all of you on what you need and how we can support you.
Great. Thank you, Andy. Thank you, Robin. Really appreciate it. And if anyone is long-winded here, it's usually me. Everybody did a great job of making their presentations very succinct. We are ahead of schedule. Diane, I think it would make sense if we could actually make these breakout rooms 20 minutes each, since we are ahead of schedule. If you could do that, that'd be great. So while Diane is making that change, so disregard the 15 minutes here. This gives us an opportunity to spend more time in the breakout rooms, which is fantastic. So what we're hoping for, just weren't sure if we're going to get there. I'm glad we got there. We're going to have, just so it's clear, everybody, it's going to be a little bit of confusion here at first, but it's going to be a choose your own adventure format. Okay, so take advantage of that. Hopefully you won't get lost. You always have the main meeting to fall back if that happens, and we can redirect you to where you would like to go. But we're going to have these 3 programs you just heard about, right? Home ownership, homelessness, and local planning going on at the same time for now 20 minutes. You get to choose whichever one you want to start with, end with, or if you want to stay at the same one the whole time, that is up to you, okay? We will time out at 20 minutes. These sessions will be recorded as well, so they will be available. For those of us that are recording those breakouts separately, we just need to make sure we end, not pause, end the recording before the 20 minutes is up. Otherwise, we might lose the recording. So just keep that in mind. And then you will go back to the main room. Unfortunately, we haven't figured out a better way of doing this. Diane will have to then reset the breakout rooms. So there'll be a few seconds, minute possibly tops, where she recreates the 3 breakout rooms, and then you get to select your next one. And we will do that through 3 rounds, okay? And then once we're done with the 3 rounds, then we'll be the main room to close this up. So hopefully that makes sense to everybody. If anybody has any questions before we launch that, please use this opportunity to raise your hand, and hopefully we can address your question about this breakout format. Otherwise, let's use the time for the breakouts. Diane, are you ready?
Yeah.
Start the record. You got it, Diane. Perfect. Let me get my screen back up. You guys see my screen all right? I'm gonna need a verbal on that one. Awesome.
Yep.
Thank you guys so much. Well, that was fun. I think there was an initial hiccup at the beginning with regard to certain people being able to record, but I think we got them all recorded. We'll be doing some unpacking after this meeting about what went well, what didn't go well. Of course, the beginning was a rough ride for all of us. Apologies about that. The good news is we caught up through the discussion, and we're able to add more time to the incredibly productive discussions in the breakout rooms. I'm looking forward to listening to recording from the other 2 rooms. I know the local planning capacity development discussions were quite robust and well attended. I'm just gonna spend a few minutes just on next steps, but before we get to that, does anybody want to, the moderators from each of the rooms, is there anything specific to spend a couple of minutes, perhaps mention any like reoccurring important pieces that were raised in each of those 3 breakout sessions that you guys work through?
I can go, Mo, with homelessness. So again, Kristen Toombs. I would say, and then feel free if folks think that I miss anything, but we had wonderful groups. Thank you so much in our 3. And I'd say one of the, some of the takeaways to me for us are around some clarity. What will be helpful is what do we mean by collaboration or certain best practices, and some, how will folks be able to access these funds, thinking about if a project has multiple partners, multiple phases, might be asking us for development and operating, just how does that look for ones that have already come to us for other existing application opportunities? So there were a lot of questions and thoughts around what are some of the differences, but also similarities? How can we capitalize on efforts that people have underway, and what are ways, if we can provide additional details that make it really clear on how people access the funds and apply. Then from a homelessness perspective, I think just, again, more details that we can provide around what do we mean when we talk about these different models, what can we fund, what will we be looking for, how will we prioritize, and all of that good stuff. So I think those were my big takeaways. Melissa, Zach, or anybody else, did I miss anything?
The other one thing that I would mention is that as the Prop 123 bill is written now, that if a county or a municipality does not determine their baseline, they cannot tap into the funds, even if they are prevention dollars. So that is a very important piece.
Great point, Melissa. And thank you, Kristen, for that fantastic recap. Andrew or Andy, any thoughts from your rooms? Andrew, I just heard you.
Yeah, I will go ahead. I'm on the phone here. But in the home ownership room, we had some good discussion. Melissa just hit on kind of the first topic, number one, that that was discussed. The first things first is the need for local communities to do the commitment piece to qualify and opt in order for any of these funds to benefit folks within their boundaries. We had a lot of talk and really approached it more as a please tell us things that the division might do with existing programs, or kind of a wish list for new programs as we look towards applying, rolling out these funds and applying them. We got a good, bunch of suggestions and are very excited to continue the conversation and to be able to use this list of suggestions, tweaks, that kind of thing, to begin kind of drafting a working document that will allow us to put some of these program enhancements in place. We did have a good discussion around the use of Prop 123 funds for mobile home parks and for acquisition. That's not something that we necessarily have a specific program for yet at the Division of Housing, but through another bill from 2022, we are developing a financing mechanism. So we had a discussion around the ability to use Prop 123 funds to augment, in that case, that existing program, but then the larger idea of using these funds to augment things that the division is currently doing that are working, to perhaps be able to allow them to work faster or achieve some economies of scale. Ariel, anything that I may have missed or that you think we should add?
No, I think that was a great summary. I would just say, yeah, folks were getting creative, kind of things that have been working, like building on our expanding a capital for that kind of front side piece of providing funds for development. And yeah, just kind of things that are working. And so glad to know that there are things that are working that we can hope to expand on.
Thanks.
Fantastic. Thank you both. And thank you for those participants that engaged so robustly in those breakout sessions. Last but not least, Andy, Robin, or Mitch, either one of you three or all three like to provide
Thanks,
some overview about your room?
Yeah, thanks. I'll keep it quick because I know we're over. Similar to what Andrew said, we got some good questions, things we hadn't thought about yet, some questions that we have been discussing. So it's good to hear that validation that, yes, local governments are thinking about this and developers as well. So, also some local governments that are interested in getting some assistance, which we're trying to figure out how to help provide some assistance this summer to communities that might want a little bit of help or soundboarding, at least, to create their commitment and determine their baseline. And so, we will definitely commit to working on that and developing fast track guidance and taking into account all the feedback that we heard today and feedback to come. Mitch and Robin, do you have anything you want to add?
No, that was great. And the questions about whether you can collaborate. And yes, we like the idea of collaboration.
Great way to segue to this next piece. We love the idea of collaboration. Thank you guys so much. This has been fantastic. Apologies once again for the rough start, but once we hit our stride, we really started motoring through some fantastic conversation. As you can see from this slide, and this doesn't cover what we've already done up to this point, this is looking forward. we are still very much in conversation and collaboration with as many folks that are interested in talking to us about Proposition 123. And as you can see, we've got a couple lined up over the remainder of this month and next month, in still having conversations about baseline setting and establishing or putting together a commitment package, if you will. And then, of course, an important part two, I guess you could look at it, of program funding discussion, although they are separate programs, distinct programs, are the OEDA CHAFA programs. And so if you are really interested in the rental side of this affordable housing piece, you'll definitely want to tune in to that, what is sure to be fantastic discussion as well. So more details on how to connect with that meeting will be provided by multiple organizations, including us. But for now, just put on your calendars, please, 3 to 5 p.m. on April 4th. And hope to see you guys there. And then, of course, we are all getting geared up, CHAFA and ourselves, and of course, Housing Colorado, our other important partners, in our summer roadshow. And I suspect, we haven't set an agenda yet, but I suspect Prop 123 will come up quite a bit in those discussions. And these are the dates and the locations planned for that engagement opportunity as well. And this is not going to be the extent of it. There's going to be more. I've already, before this meeting started, was checking my email, and local jurisdictions and groups of local jurisdictions are asking to meet with us, which is fantastic. I will, of course, be involving local government in those conversations. So if you really want to sit down with us and talk through, understanding the baseline fundamentals, if you will, of Prop 123 and how to put together a commitment, please, let's have that conversation. And as Andy alluded to, for certain, we're going to have more conversations about, mercifully, we've got some time, but we're going to start those discussions in the near future about that fast track process. But also, what does compliance look like, right? Especially for those jurisdictions that really do all the affordable housing development in their jurisdiction, and they don't issue themselves a permit, which is an important piece of Prop 123. What does that look like for them? So some interesting stuff has come up in these discussions that we'll be unpacking over the next several months, weeks, years, as we effectively implement Prop 123. Thank you guys for an amazing opportunity to chat through this with you guys. Don't hesitate to reach out. Last but not least, here is our website, our interactive website. There was an issue, technology once again, with our feature of registering and submitting questions through it. It seemed to be an issue on the vendor side. We removed that registration requirement. That should hopefully resolve it. So for those of you who've been trying to communicate with us through that, it should now be operational again. So please try engaging us through that again. Thank you all and have a great weekend. More to follow.
Have a good weekend, everyone.